Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Military Trailblazer Office Hours. Thank you for taking the time out of your Wednesday evening to spend it here in the spirit of community and mentorship and learning. I'm your host, Dave Albright, being graciously helped by Geraldine Hall here, and we'll talk about it. Dave Nava might be on later from Columbia, believe it or not. But as many of you know, I'm a lead solution engineer at Salesforce and Military Trailblazer. Each week, we invite a co-host to take part in our conversations so that we can leverage their experience, expertise, and unique perspectives. The focus for tonight's session is exploring hiring our heroes transition programs, which many of you are well aware of, and also the resources that go with it. So if you've ever wanted an overview of all the amazing transition and career development related resources that hiring our heroes has to offer, this is the session for you. So don't be shy tonight, ask all our questions. Iris will be happy to answer all of them. And let's go ahead and talk about our co-host tonight. Stephanie, unfortunately, will not be with us tonight, but I'd like to take the time to welcome and briefly introduce our co-host panel for tonight's session, Iris Collis. Iris is the program manager for the Salesforce Fellowship at Hiring Our Heroes. She has a professional background in education, marketing, and public relations, and is a regular fixture here for her questions, her personality, and her insights into the system. And it's always awesome to talk with Iris, a ray of sunshine on some of these Wednesday nights. So it's awesome to have you co-hosting with us. So welcome. Why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, David. And I am super excited to co-host and share all the plethora of information at Hiring Our Heroes with everybody. As most of you know, my name is Iris Collis, and as you can hear, I'm from the other side of the pond. David already shared that I do have a background in administration, marketing, PR, and other professional careers, but I bumped into my husband, my sailor, as they say, while I was teaching English in Japan, and I became a military spouse. That led me to taking a career break, and I spent over a decade at home supporting my spouse and raising my family. I wasn't ready for the challenges that I was going to face when it came to relaunching my career, and I kind of struggled with it, doing jobs that really didn't satisfy the craving that I had for career developments. Thankfully, I found a lifeline through military spouse programs, first with Blue Star Family for education resources, and then the Military Spouse Fellowship Program at HOH. What was initially supposed to be a fellowship turned into a direct hire opportunity, and I landed on the Salesforce Fellowship Program under Stephanie Murphy, and the rest, as they say, is history. Unfortunately, as David was saying, Stephanie cannot be here. She was unexpectedly called to the roundtable discussion at the Military Spouse Summit that is going on right now. And she's doing amazing things to make a positive impact on that front. So just hope I do her proud.
Yeah, it's a shame to miss her because you two are both, in my minds, for the short time really that I've been in Salesforce, patron saints of this community, you know, especially with helping people get in. Well-known fixture, and we see you at all the conferences, so it's always good to see both of you. So real quick, we'll get into the admin notes, and then we'll get to presentation and some questions. So for those of you joining for the first time, we always like to briefly explain the purpose of these office hours before we open the floor to questions and discussion. These sessions are an informal get-together for gathering with military trailblazers and allies to explore non-technical Salesforce career and branding related topics to help you achieve your professional development and career related goals. The next hour is intended to be an opportunity for collaborative mentorship. Everyone on the call is encouraged to step up and help answer questions from your perspective, which will provide additional diversity of experience to the answers given. Please keep an eye on the chat window during tonight's sessions. I and others on the call will share a lot of great information there, including learning, networking, and employment opportunities. If you'd like to ask a question at any point during today's session, please feel free to do so. If you don't feel as comfortable speaking up, you can always post your questions in chat, which is what a lot of people do. I'll do my best to monitor the chat window. I'll also be looking for raised hands. And finally, tonight's session is being recorded. If you'd like to share an attribution-free comment, please let me know before speaking, and I'll make sure it's edited out. I'll write down the time, or you can just put a note in there on the corner that you want it edited out, and that's not a problem. So with that, Iris, you want to present, correct?
I was hoping that you were going to drive for me, David. Is that okay?
Yep, I sure will, as soon as I find out what I just did with them.
While we're waiting for David to get started, I'm just going to say that HOH is going through a bit of a rebrand. So this, the deck that I have to present with, it's a little bit older than I would have liked. It hasn't got as up-to-date information as I would like, but it's got some fantastic data points on there for us to explore.
Just waiting for it to come up.
No worries. While we're waiting for the tech is fantastic when it works.
All day since about 7 a.m. I've been having network issues, and it is not fun. And I've had solid meetings all day long.
Oh, the joys.
Loading. Yes, very much so.
While you're getting that started up, I'll just explain a little bit of hiring our heroes. What are we? What do we do? So we're the nonprofit side of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the foundation side. Our mission is to tackle the high unemployment rates among the military community. Could you move to the next slide, please, David?
Sure. Let me see here. There we go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So our mission is to tackle unemployment, as I was saying, the military community. We've been doing this for just over 12 years now, and we were actually one of the first organizations approved by the Department of Defense to be a SkillBridge provider. SkillBridge, I know a lot of us know what it is, but I know that this goes out to our allies as well as the military community. So SkillBridge is a fantastic opportunity for our service members in their last 180 days of active duty to gain valuable civilian work experience through industry training, apprenticeships, and internships. HOH first started with the SkillBridge program, but we've grown our mission to support all of the military community, including our veterans, military spouses, caregivers, as they search for that meaningful career. This is going to be a very high level overview. If I was to go into all of the minutiae of everything that we do, we'd be here all night, possibly days. So I really advise anyone who's super interested in learning about all of the things that we do, heading over to our website, hiringourheroes.org, and make sure you've got a cup of tea and a cookie with you, I say, because you could be there for a while, and delve into that information at your leisure. Okay, then.
Next slide.
Could I? Yes, please. This is a quick snapshot. Our military is diverse. It's composed of individuals from various backgrounds, ethnicity, experiences, and skills. And at HOH, the talent pool we have mirrors this diversity. And moving to the next one, please. So the strategy that we utilize is we reach out talent where they are. This means collaborating with military installations, providing briefings at transition assistant classes for our service members, and actively engaging with our spouses and the rest of the military community whenever we get that chance. When you're in the military, you know, you got a lot on your plate. I always say there's so much going on all the time, whether it's the mission, family, finances. It's really tough to navigate the available resources. We aim to make finding those resources and those opportunities a little bit easier, helping to inform, educate, and connect to the right information when you need it. So let's hit the next one, please. Taking a quick look at our hiring events. Our hiring events connects the military community, job seekers from around the globe to American businesses hiring for local, national, and remote opportunities. HOH is really well known for the incredible two-day career summits that are held at major US installations all over the world. I was lucky enough to attend the Fort Belvoir one that was just a few weeks ago, and that was a fantastic experience. The energy in that room and watching the connections being made, it was just awesome. If you get an opportunity and you're near an installation, please go check one of those out. Our virtual hiring event really took off during the pandemic, and this platform offers a variety of industry-focused events such as tech and cyber, transportation and logistics, hospitality, and so much more. There's different events held each month. Our Career Connector team are our band of mighty warriors, I call them, who sit in the middle of our organization. And their main job is to help get job seekers ready for these events, sharing resources, and again, just helping our those job seekers become career ready, not just job ready. If you're looking for any kind of career assistance and you are in the military community, I encourage you to connect with our career connectors, these warriors that sit in the hub. Check out our hiring events, sign up for our hot jobs newsletters, which offer direct referral opportunities if you're interested in anything. It's better than just sending that resume off to a job. Getting that referral from our career connectors gives an added layer of getting you connected to the opportunity that you want. Okay, then let's hit the next one, please. Okay, then oh, no, you've missed one. Back, please. Thank you, our fellows programs. Let's take a look at let's take a look at our fellows program. So first up, we have the corporate fellowship, which is specifically for our active duty members. This program focuses on matching candidates with employers. There is a requirement for a degree or a high in-demand skill like project management or maybe CompTI or data analytics. You don't know what you have and what is in need. So I always suggest to apply and let our career connectors and our program managers help you see where you fit into something like that. What's also awesome about this is that our service members can bring their preferred employers to the table. If there's a service member who's been connecting and chatting to a company and that company is willing to take them on, we can be the skill bridge provider. I believe Dave Anderson touched a little bit on this when he mentioned, when he was talking about Salesforce military recruitment and how hiring our heroes helps them with being the skill bridge providers. Please go back and watch that session. There was some fantastic information on that. So as I mentioned, we are the approved skill bridge provider. So that means that we can facilitate the fellowship between a company who does not have that skill bridge authorization and a service member. At the moment, it's a lengthy process to get that approval. And so a company doesn't have to worry about it. We've got all that paperwork sorted out, and we'll also help get the service members approval ready so that they are ready to go and you don't have that headache. One thing I do like to say, though, is that any companies that are introduced, we are going to vet them because, you know, it costs the company absolutely nothing to be a skill bridge provider. To host a fellow during this time. But we want to make sure that there is a genuine open job role the company hopes to fill, and that they understand that the goal of this period of time is to eventually hire the fellow. We're not about free labor, and there is nothing worse than a fellow giving it their all, and there was never that intent to hire. But of course, there are other reasons that fellowship may or may not work out. But again, apply and we'll go through all of those details with you. Moving on to our industry-focused fellowships, which offer opportunities for, back.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Batting 1,000 over here.
It's okay. So moving on, we have our industry firm-based fellowships, which offer opportunities for upskilling and reskilling, and that's where our Salesforce program sits, and it's offered to our service members and our spouses. Another exciting program is our Google Career Forward, which is a two-part program where participants can earn a Google Career Certificate under the guidance of our learning program managers. And then upon completion, there's an opportunity for direct hire or fellowship opportunities as well there. This program is open to our service members, spouses, caregivers, and our veterans. Under that industry umbrella, we also have fellowships in emerging tech, which includes solar. So we also cater to our military spouses and caregivers. Our military spouse fellowship program, which holds a special place in my heart because that's how I got started, was actually only available in 8 locations all the way up to the end of last year. But thanks to the collaboration with the DoT Military Spouse Career Accelerator Pilot, thankfully shortened to MSCAP, this program has expanded nationwide. So again, this is a very high level quick look at the programs. if you are interested in any of the programs, please head over to our website where you can dive right in and find out all of those requirements and eligibility needs that must be met. Okay, well, before we move on, I wanted to touch on quickly. Some people ask me, why do we call our program a fellowship? Why are we being all fancy? I was like, it's not fancy, I promise you. It's because I believe that an internship might give the impression that once you've gone through and you've been matched with your host company, then you're left alone to figure out on your own. Well, that's just not the case with Hiring Our Heroes. As a fellow, you'll be going, you'll have the ongoing support of your program managers, and you'll join a cohort of peers to network with and share the ups and downs of transitioning to a new job. The cohort schedule is about 12 weeks, and it involves work with your host company Monday to Thursday, and on Fridays you are away from that host company, but you jump on with Hiring Our Heroes on a virtual platform for about 2 to 3 hours for career development sessions. These sessions include salary negotiations, networking, and specific to SFP, we bring on some of our alumni and other Salesforce gurus, I call them. Stephanie, we share our Salesforce gurus on, but they come back on and they share their knowledge and expertise, all to help that fellow navigate to a path of success. Okay, now you can move, David.
Now I am going to do the next slide. Watch, let's see what happens here. All right.
We did it. Okay, then. So as I mentioned, those slides are not as up to date as I would like, but 2021 wasn't that far away. To me, it seems like just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But here's a quick overview of the impacts that we made in 2021. Despite the challenges of COVID, our fellows program aided nearly 2,000 individuals. There's a common misconception that the SkillBridge program is only for officers, but the numbers here speak for themselves. We're reaching the younger service members as well, helping them navigate their next career step. It's all about empowering our service members and making that transition as smooth as we can. Next slide.
Oh, now you want them faster.
Some of the times you go a little fast. Oh, look at you. Trigger happy. That's what I'm calling you. Trigger happy.
I'm going to get back my PowerPoint Ranger badge here soon. I've lost my skills.
Okay, then. So this is just a quick snapshot. As many of you know, our Salesforce Fellowship program is remote, but the rest of our programs, they have remote options, but a lot of them are in person as well. And this is a little snapshot of some of the nationwide results from our corporate fellowship program, our military spouse fellowship program, and our career forward. Okay, hit the button.
One button.
A quick look at our diversity, equity, and inclusion data, and the dark navy represents all HOH fellows. The red that you see there is our corporate fellows, and then the light blue represents the DoD active duty service members. Again, this is just highlighting the diversity of the audience we serve and the talent pool that we are also servicing. Slide number. Thank you very much. So I've touched a little bit about our special programs. I'm just going to delve a little bit more here. So as many of you know, I eat, breathe, and sleep Salesforce. I love it. And Stephanie is Salesforce mom. So in HOH, we are the Salesforce experts. Okay, this is what we know best. Every program has a dedicated team, which is who are doing what we're doing and finding out the information that is prevalent to their programs. We all know enough about each other's programs to be dangerous, but to find out the real details and to get more, to find out more on how to navigate to where you want to be, please apply and go directly to the horse, to say that, so to speak. Applying does not commit. I know sometimes we're like, apply, and some people are like, I'm not ready to apply yet. What if it counts against me? It doesn't count against you. Applying basically gives you an avenue to get the resources and the information about the program that you're interested in. For example, when you apply for the Salesforce Fellowship Program, you may never ever have heard of Salesforce again. Well, I would send you a step-by-step guide to get started on the free Salesforce military platform and earn your certification. and to make use of all of the knowledge that I've gained in the past few years I've been sitting in this spot. I think I made every single Trailhead mistake there was, so there's no need for you to do that. And I've got my certification the hard way. I've tried to create a path which will make it as easy as possible for you. And trust me, it's just easier that way. But of course, you do need to get that Salesforce certification to me by the application deadline so that you can move to the next step. The Google Career Certificates, I'm just going to touch on this one quickly again. As mentioned, that is a learning path, and the certifications offered on this platform, no, not certifications, certificates offered on this platform are data analytics, project management, IT support, Python, UX design, and they just recently added cyber as well. So lots of things to get into if you are interested in. That is an avenue for you to gain a free certificate with the support of the learning managers there. Our Solo Ready program is another one specifically only for our transitioning active duty service members. Okay, then next slide, please, young sir. Okay, then I'm often asked as well which companies we work with. You can go through these slides. There's about 3 of them that just shows some of our partners and our sponsors, David. But yes, as you can see, there's too many for me to go through all of them. I would just like to salute our partners and sponsors who we really couldn't do what we do without them. As to which companies participate in which cohort, it's hard to tell because it depends what the hiring needs are at the time that the cohort is happening. Full details about our sponsors and our partners are all on our website. HOH is transparent. And if your company, if you are on here and your company is interested in becoming one of our sponsors, please feel free to send me an email and make me look very, very good in front of my boss. Okay, then. So I'm ready to move on to some questions if you'd like to take those down.
You got it. Megan, whose name I slaughtered multiple times there through the presentation, had a question back here about, just found out about if spouses can qualify for SkillBridge. So I'd like to discuss that more at the end if there's time. That's the first I've heard of it. Have you heard anything about that, Iris?
Spouses do not qualify for SkillBridge is specifically for our active duty service members. She may be speaking about our military spouse fellowship program, but that is available to our spouses, whether you are active duty or veteran. So
I heard about it from one of my veterati mentors, and I just haven't had time to look it up. So I was wondering, since you guys had brought it up, it's in the SkillBridge handbook. Here it was. The DoD SkillBridge, also called Career Skills Program, is an opportunity for service members and military spouses to gain valuable civilian work experience through specific industry training, apprenticeships, or internships. And that is on the SkillBridge OSD mill page from 21.
They're probably talking about sending your spouse to us for them to utilize some of the resources, because especially for our active duty spouses, the DoD has just partnered with us for our MSCAP. I'm not going to say that humongous long thing again, but yeah. Then that is specifically for our active duty spouses. But it doesn't matter whether you're active duty spouse or a veteran spouse, please come to HOH. There are resources and programs there to help you get your career back on track.
And I just saw Jim's question. I did the Google Start while I was doing Salesforce.
What was the question?
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim asked, I'm a veteran in the Salesforce program. Can I be in the Google certificate at the same time?
Yes, the Google certificate, because the first part of it is that learning track, you could most definitely go and sign up and take a Google career certificate. I actually finished the program management one, and I am about a week or two shy of finishing the data analytics. And oh my goodness, that learning that programming language.
That's pretty funny. Okay, you ready for your first question, Iris?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, So you interact with thousands of members in the military community as they come to grips with one of the most stressful and dynamic periods of their professional lives. And then there's plenty of people on here who can attest to that. I remember freaking out as I was getting ready to get out. Um, you know, based on your experience and recognizing the differences among some of the groups we're going to talk about, service members, veterans, and spouses, what are the biggest challenges that you see?
Transitioning is tough. It's tough, as there's no other word for it. It deals with the stresses of mental and emotional well-being, social reintegration, financial stability, possible education and retraining, thinking about where you're going to live, and schooling for your kids if they're involved as well. It's a lot. Having a plan for employment does not exactly solve all of those things, but it helps. It's a huge help. It's essential to give yourself what I say, the gift of time, the need to plan ahead, create a roadmap to define your goals, finding out what you want to do. I mean, for sometimes 20 years, you've been told what to do. Okay, so now what brings you joy? Okay, then I know like some people are like, what brings me joy is having a paycheck. But it's also about what you want to do, because you can do anything. You've been trained to do anything, but that's not sustainable. Do you know what I mean? If you're just working for that paycheck, it's not sustainable, and you're going to be not happy, and it's going to add to that stress. Taking the time to read books, connecting with our career connectors, connecting with mentors, people who've walked this path, people who are at other companies who are veterans, or somebody who you see in a career path that you're like, oh, I wonder if that's interesting. Speak to them. The beauty about this military community, as well, as I call it, like the mafia on steroids, okay? Once they've got you, they've got you. You know what I mean? And everybody is willing to give you 5-10 minutes of their time to give you that a little bit of insights of what they've gone through. So please utilize that. One benefit of time is for example, our Salesforce fellowship program. This requires a certification by the application deadline. Yes. I know we all know some of those rock stars who have never heard of Salesforce before show up and have passed that certification in 2 weeks, and they're showing the app they build and the business problems they're solving. You're like, oh, that's nice. Okay, but in reality, most of us mere mortals need a hot second to pass that incredibly difficult exam. Translating your military experience into a civilian resume is also something that you need. It takes time. Connecting with, we are not resume writers, but we have a plethora of resume resources that you can utilize, and we can point you in the right direction, but it all takes time. Learning to utilize social platforms like LinkedIn. For a long time, you've been told to stay away from social platforms and be careful what you've put on. And now we're like, smile, look approachable, don't wear your uniform, and crying out loud, put a banner on your LinkedIn page. Okay, all of those things, like it, you can't just flip the switch like that. So taking that time to learn, taking that time to utilize the amazing resources there's over 200 SkillBridge providers. We are just one of them. If you don't give yourself that time, you don't have the time to explore these opportunities. Over 200,000 service members transition every year from the military, and only 15% of them are utilizing SkillBridge. Kind of breaks my heart, because you're like, it's all free. Okay, please use it. These challenges and strategies are also incredibly relevant to our military spouses, and I'm speaking from personal experience here. I was on LinkedIn for like 8 months, and I had 20 connections, and every time I had to go try to speak to somebody, it was like crushing. I was like, I don't want to. What if they don't like me? I'm like, that was silly. You know what I mean? It's about learning, and it's about learning what is out there and how you can utilize these resources to help shape your success.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been out now for 5 years. I retired at 21 years, and I like to tell, I get a call about probably once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks, from someone I served with, and they're like, hey, and I know what's going to happen on the call. It's not to catch up with Dave Albright. It's like, how did you do it? What about medical? What about, and everyone gets out at different points and different things, but I like to I like to say, kind of half jokingly, that it's a little bit like Shawshank Redemption, right? And about
where
10
are you
years,
going with this?
you get institutionalized to the military, right? And you go to get out, and it's like, what am I going to do? You know, I was an aviator, so it was like, oh, I'll fly commercial. I can make tons of money, blah, blah, blah. And then you get out, and I go to hotel to hotel to hotel, and it's like, this isn't what I wanted, you know? And, but you're just terrified. And Megan, whose name I can't spell, I see your question. You get terrified that you can't do anything else, right? This is all you know how to do. And that's not true at all. And that's a big shift in mentality to go like, hey, there's plenty of people that want you, and not necessarily for the skill set that you were taught in the military. You are a giant chameleon in your ability to adjust and learn new jobs and be disciplined. And we all know, anyone that served or has been a spouse of someone that served knows that not everyone's a super trooper in the military, right? There's a full spectrum of performance, but you're still capable and you still have a certain quality and skill set. And you have to break out of that mindset that this is the only thing I can do, and no one wants me for anything else. So I'll stop my tirade there. Brooks was here. Remember that from Shawshank Redemption, but you don't have to be like that. Okay, Megan. Now you're going to watch that movie and be like, oh, that's exactly
I want to know
it.
what
Go
you
ahead,
flew.
Megan. I flew various things. I was a scout gunship pilot in the Army, 58Ds. And then in the Coast Guard, I flew the H-65 Dolphin,
You're going to,
the little orange thing you used to watch.
so you didn't fly fixed wing, but you were going to fly commercial?
Yeah, and I actually switched and I did fly fixed wing.
Okay.
Yep, I flew for the airlines for 2 years.
Nice. My husband is retiring in
And then
July, and we are discussing the airlines, and I'm like, but you could do Salesforce.
Yeah, and feel free to hit me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to talk offline and talk about that transition and what that world is like. I've definitely given that speech a couple times. So Iris, follow-up question then. So you've talked to thousands of members, and I know this is going to be an easy one. So that was a hard one. Here's the easy one. Share a success story for a veteran or a military spouse that leveraged your program and overcame the challenges and transitioned to tech.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's
So
like,
easy.
which one? I mean, we've got Geraldine. She's like right there, front and center. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you just had Nick Mayo on as well just a few weeks ago. He was a transitioning service member who was looking for something. He found the Salesforce military community, and he loved the support that he got there. He's now been at CGI for about a year and a half, and he's 9 times certified. He's doing incredible things, and he's giving back to the community, being a mentor on veterancy and helping those who come behind him. Every time we ask Nick to do anything, he's like, right there, what can I do? Do you know what I mean? Because he's, as with everybody, Salesforce professional, whether they are military or not, they are happy and excited about where they got to from the people who helped them, and they are super excited to help the people who are coming behind them. Another one is Priscilla Roman. She was just in the cohorts, in the last cohort of 2022. She was actually OCONUS when she went to a career development session, and she learned about Salesforce. Upon her return, she nailed a certification, nailed a fellowship, and she's doing incredible things at higher echelon. And she's also giving back to the community, and she's on the military Trailblazer office hour sessions, off the record chatter on Monday night with those gang of rebels over there. Lovely group, but you know what I mean? It
is a gang of rebels too.
Iris?
Yes, dear.
I was in the Salesforce, Hiring Our Heroes Salesforce Fellowship in 2020. I was in the 3rd cohort, and I did not get a job from that. But what it did was gave me experience. And then with that on my resume, I was able to get a position. So what I wanted to emphasize is, even if you do not get a position during your fellowship, it gives you that bullet point for your resume that will get you your next position. And I am a project manager. I got my PMP through O2O, which is Onward to Opportunity. And I am now, I've been a project manager for, since 2020, and I'm making well over 6 figures.
This makes me happy, Barbara. This makes me smile.
So I just wanted to share that hiring our heroes is invaluable. And I am a military spouse. I struggled with my career throughout his career in the military. And now I'm finally getting to shine and getting the salary that I would have gotten it maybe if I started from the beginning and made a gradual progression. So anybody who's a military spouse, Salesforce, at least for me, got me into an incredible job and an incredible salary range. So I just wanted to share.
Barbara, we applaud you. That's just fantastic to hear. And I'm sorry I missed you.
Well, Stephanie was fabulous.
That's what I mean. She was running this whole show by herself. The reason why they put me on here was because it had just exploded. And I just looked at it and I was like, Stephanie, how are you doing this by yourself? I am just hanging on. She's like, oh, you just do it. And I was like, do you sleep? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder about you too sometimes. Sadly, because I'm awake at the same times when I see you online. But I mean, I know some of the military spouses that are on this right here, whose name I won't mention unless they want to say it themselves, who have gone through PCSs or retirements, and been like, for the first time in the military career, not crying because they lost their job, but crying because they don't have to look for a job, that they get to keep this, the job that they're in because of, being able to work remote, and that is part of the culture, particularly with Salesforce and a lot of the Salesforce partners. And so that's an incredible capability. I did not go through hiring our heroes. I believe it or not, I tried to get in and did not, because I was still flying part-time for the local hospitals and Stephanie and I had our interview and she's like, well, we're done. And I was like, oh. And so I went the route where I just kind of kept working connections and things like that, and did the networking and came in that way. So there's all kinds of ways to come into the ecosystem. And I also want to touch on Barbara's comments about 2020. 2021 was off to the races. Everyone was hiring like gangbusters, right? 2020 was a little tighter. The partners were not hiring. And now we've kind of gone back a little bit, late 2022 into 23, and things, the ball field has changed yet again, right? The mothership has tightened up, which then has an effect. It seems the partners are still from my perspective, hiring decently. But the game changes and you have to kind of amend with the game, right? Change your plays in the game. And that means, maybe end up having to get for more competitive with certs or continue the networking, right? But hiring our heroes may not be a job at the end of the hiring our heroes, but as Barbara mentioned, it's still stuff on the resume, it's still experience, right? And that's, as I've talked about, anyone who's listened to me babble on before, there's 2 hard things that I see in Salesforce. One is getting that first cert. That thing is murder. Like Iris said, I have a running joke that says real men cry during the first cert, right? Because that thing is brutal. And then, then it's getting enough experience to actually get picked up by someone to actually break into the ecosystem and get a job, and stand out a little bit. And that's pretty hard to do. So.
But that's why I also think it's important to, once you decide on the path that you're going onto, it's important that you are going towards something that fills that need to you, that you actually have to like it. It's not that you're going for Salesforce just because there's an opportunity for you to get remote work. Remote work is nice, but it doesn't matter what you're doing if you don't like it. Whether you're doing it at home or in the office, do you know what I mean? It's not going to work. And having that drive to keep on pushing when the market does change a little bit, when you do have to adapt and maybe pick up another couple of tricks in your toolbox to get that first position. that's when you really know whether you want to do something, or if it was something that you were thinking about because you like what it came with, and maybe you're looking for something else. Doing that research is vital.
Yeah, for sure. You know, a lot of people grasp at the straw as they're transitioning, right? Like, okay, there's a paycheck, like you said. This hiring our heroes thing seems pretty easy. I'll get in there. Salesforce, how hard could it be? Work from home. And then maybe you do it and it's not really for you. You don't like sitting in front of the computer screen. Anyone who actually spends time talking to me, I will go on a tirade about how abusive it is to sit here on your body. Like, you got to buy good gear. And it's so funny, right? Having done the things a lot of us have done, sitting in a helicopter for thousands of hours, cramped over with night vision goggles and stuff like that, or whatever else you did in your career. But then you sit here and you're like, oh, I work from home. I can do it in my sweatpants. And you're sitting here clicking that mouse several thousand times a day and your finger starts to hurt. You know, that's the kind of stuff that puts you out of work. So yeah, it's not for everyone. And I think a lot of times you got to really try that out and see if it is for you. So I'll ask another question. We're running behind on our picture, but I'll ask a question. We'll tee it up and then we'll get the picture after that one. Are you seeing, and this is going to be a good one, are you seeing any employment trends across your programs that indicate whether a specific industry or career field is hot and has ample opportunities?
Well, one area that's always in need of help, one area that is always going to be hiring, is project management and operations. That's managing people and those leadership skills. It just seems like every industry is crying out for that. Okay. The rest of it, it's like staying abreast of what's going on right now. Cyber and security and IT. Yes, it does sound like the tech field is a little cookie, but tech isn't going away. Do you know what I mean? It's more about learning how to do more with less, unfortunately, but it's not going to go away. Getting tech skills is not going to be a bad idea if you have that capacity and you have that drive to go learn. Data is the new gold, as they say. Do you know what I mean? Getting that data that is being created in so many avenues, learning how to manipulate it and making it readable and making it into a data story is going to be a skill that is just going to grow. I see a lot more interest in data analytics, and of course AI. It seems like AI is taking over the world. I'm trying to embrace it and not be scared of Terminator and things like that, but
I'm afraid of that every day, and yet I have fully embraced ChatGPT, like especially doing Lightning Web Components or Apex, even things like Flow, or God help us all when we have to do formulas. Right? When you do any kind of wonky formula that makes no sense to anyone alive, I still want to find the person that wrote it. ChatGPT, how do I write a formula for this? All of a sudden it spits it out and you're like, copy paste, go. I mean, I was doing it at the beginning of this week, you know, so yeah, I'm with you. And I think AI will change the industry, but the industry's not going away. It's just going to differ just like everything else.
I agree.
So we are past the midpoint of our session. So before I forget, let's get a group photo, of which I'll probably be looking up at the top left, which I always am. We'll post it on LinkedIn and Twitter tomorrow. We'll tag everyone in the photo. If you only have your first name showing, you want to make sure your name is on there, just add a comment in there. We'll pick up on it in the chat window. And for everyone who wants to grab or participate in the photo, please unmute your video and we'll grab a screenshot. I'll give you a countdown. I got to get set. What do you have in your hand, Megan? Oh, it's a little bear. Nice. Is that the bear? All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Nice. I'm not looking like a complete, well, we won't finish that statement, but I actually got a decent one for once. All right. I got it. Cody Bear. You going to be a coder, Megan?
I am not, but there was a coder at Philly who makes these with his 3D printer for fun. And he scans all of his stuff he's in, and then he hands them out at all of the events he goes to. And
Nice.
it was really cool. He had one that he made out of seaweed. Like it was like, yeah, so it's completely biodegradable and everything. Amber, you know who I'm talking about? I think his name is Drew.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I got one at Florida Dreaming, and I was like, he was just handing them out. We were having lunch. He's really,
Yeah,
really nice.
He's
you-
got too much time on his hands. Tell him they can come babysit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the program before we all get seaweed Cody bears. So here's one that most people are probably interested in. What are some best practices that you've seen a cohort members adopt that have enabled them for success, whether it's pre-internship, during the internship, or after being hired?
So it comes about being prepared. And when I say being prepared, I'm talking about utilizing the resources that are given and being coachable, being ready to listen and to take on the feedback that you are given. And when I say prepared, there's this one little tiny skill which I think is vital, and it's called reading. And I say that because, and I completely understand it, because I'm like this as well. There's so much going on. Sometimes when an email's sent, you skim it. You're like, dum, bum, 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 bum. And then there's a situation every time, maybe about 2 weeks before, during the resume release, somebody's like, hey, you didn't send me information about this. And I had no idea about this. And I was like, well, you remember when you first applied and I sent you that horrible email that had all that information on it? It was in there, okay? But it's a lot, and it's about taking your time and going through everything. Yes, maybe 60% of what you read may not be relevant to you, but that 40% could be the nuggets that you need, that resource that you need. Oh, Candiform, she sent me Candiform like 3 months ago. I could have been doing mock interviews 3 months ago, and now I have an interview tomorrow evening. Why didn't I look at it 3 months ago? Do you know what I mean? So it's about being prepared, reading, taking the time, and talking. Again, I cannot I cannot keep on hammering on about this enough. Connecting to a mentor. Veterati is incredible. There are over 250 Salesforce professionals. Yes, you may connect with somebody who doesn't have the time. It's a very busy life that we have, and we all have busy lives. Don't let that put you off. That person didn't mean to do it. Life got busy for them. Don't be like, that's it, I'm not doing Veterati anymore. You're the one who's going to lose out. I always say, use it like speed dating. Connect with 10 of them, maybe 3 of them will show up, you know what I mean? But move along with what you've got. And the American Corporate Fellowship Mentorship, that's also another fantastic program. And of course, the Salesforce Trailblazer community. There's so many groups on there. If you are looking and you're serious about looking, you will find somebody who you will be able to talk to, and you will find the right person to talk to. I am fully somebody who believes that when you're pushing to succeed, the world will pull too. So keep pushing.
Amber, that would be another good t-shirt right there. We're getting all kinds of good t-shirt ideas tonight. So identifying what works well, reading, which I'm actually guilty of not reading very well. My boss would say the same thing. What are some things to avoid that may impede someone's progress as they navigate the transition process?
Having unrealistic salary expectations when you're moving to a new career field. Believing that you will land the job of your dreams that very, very first role in this new career field. We sometimes see someone who's like, oh, I didn't want to be an admin, I'm not going to take that. And I'm like, it's a position that you take it, run with it, get that valuable hands-on experience. It might not be exactly the salary you want, but getting that 1 year of Salesforce experience in a paid Salesforce experience can take you to the next step of where you are looking to go. To be someone who's not willing to adapt. And I know that we say the military community is very adaptable, but then sometimes you do meet people who can be a little rigid, you know what I mean? They have their goal in mind, and it's maybe not a goal that is working for them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, have a look at what else is out there. I know this is what you want, and I will help you and I will support you in everything I can. but I can't make miracles happen. So look and see what else is out there and see what else you can do to bring you that joy, because there's so many jobs right now, jobs that we didn't even think were available 5-10 years ago. And when you think about what kind of jobs are going to be available in the next 2 years, you just don't know. Do you know what I mean? So make yourself open, give yourself that chance to explore and have that mind of this is going to be exciting instead of tedious, because it's for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
And it's experience, right? We kind of said that. Carrie, I'll make a comment and then I'll pass it over to you. I think a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but I've definitely had the conversation more than a couple times where they're like, hey, what do you think I should take for an asking salary? And it's like, I am not good with that stuff. Too many years in the military. I mean, I literally have asked people say, or had people say to me, like, what do you need to work here? And I was like, what am I worth? And I'm like, who says that, right? Like, who says, what am I worth? No one.
I think Elio wanted to say something on this.
Yeah, David, just to add to that, and I've worked with some of you on this call before, because this comes up a lot. The money discussion, you owe it to yourself to navigate to websites like Glassdoor and find out what is that role with the experience that you bring, both military and post-military, and find a range. Money is something that I kind of get frustrated with schools. They don't really teach us that anymore. And it's something that I found out myself when I was younger. I would just take an offer. And I'll tell you what, since I've been in the field 25 years, 20 of those 25 years, I've always negotiated, and I've gotten more than I thought I would. But that's because I did my homework. I went to places like Glassdoor and LinkedIn and found out a range and felt comfortable talking about the skill set that aligned with this role and somebody with that skill set plus military background. You should feel comfortable knowing what that range is. If you don't, I highly recommend you educate yourself on that subject, because just like anything else, the salary discussion has to be part of the process, like getting your Salesforce certification, going through mock interviews, talking to somebody like our lovely host Iris today about roles in the field. You have to be realistic, just like Iris said, but you owe it to yourself to educate yourself on every aspect of the job hunt, including salary negotiation.
I couldn't agree more. And if a company does ask you what's your asking offer is, you are well within your rights to say, well, what's the range for this job?
That's very smart. Where were you when I needed you, Iris?
Yeah, Iris, it's funny you mentioned that. I saw this article on this Google ex-Googler who said, you know, a good way to answer that about the range is if you know your skill set, say, hey, I am probably from the middle to your higher end of that range. It's not giving a number, but it's letting people know that you've done your homework and you know what that range is.
I like that a lot. I might steal that, Elio.
That's super smart. I could have used that many, many times. Carrie, you have a comment.
Yes. So HOH, and I don't think this has really been gone over, it's a very competitive program. And so I know when I went through it, I think there was probably at least like 1,000 applications and less than 100 of us got through. So what do you say? And I've had other military spouses kind of ask me about that piece of it. My one thing that I've said to them is like, forget all that part. Yes, it's competitive, but the more you're sitting there and focusing on that piece of it, the less of you that's going to be in the process. Like, just forget that piece of it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's other ways to get into the ecosystem. So I'm curious what you have to say to others that are seeing like this massively competitive program, maybe just some guidance for those trailblazers as well.
Thank you for bringing that up, and I love it. And when you went through the program, it was competitive, so you can imagine what it is now. And you are so right. That is not something that you want to focus on, because imposter syndrome already exists, let alone thinking that you are 1 in 2,000. You know, is it going to be me? It's like the lottery. Focusing on what you want. There is more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to a Salesforce career is one of my best terminologies. And then connecting, like for a spouse, I'd be like, go talk to Carrie. See how she made it. What did she use? There's, again, connecting to the military spouses who've gone before you, seeing that, yes, they are rock stars, but they're also human and they've gone through the things that you've gone through, and that you can succeed where you don't even realize it. But also skill up. Because again, with my spouses, I try, sometimes they're trying to relaunch their career, and I want even the playing field where, as they're going to be competing with our service members and our transitioning service veterans who've already transitioned, and they've got a bigger skill set, it feels like. What I loved about a post that you did recently was utilizing the skills that you'd gained as a military spouse. Is the one that you did about the peanut butter, serving 100 peanut butter sandwiches.
True classic.
It was awesome, but it was smart. You gave measurable goals of things that you've done. And I was like, it's about thinking about what you've done and learning this jargon and learning how to transfer those skills into this jargon, so people know that, yes, I do understand this field. Yes, I can play in this field. And you'll be surprised what that confidence can get you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I always thought Carrie's LinkedIn was hilarious in that regard, because you're like reading it about, you know, how many servings of peanut butter jelly sandwiches. But anyone who's been in the military knows that, you know, sometimes the service member has it easy. It's the one left at home during deployments, man. Oof. Good Lord. And dealing with the soccer games and all the stuff and the schools and the fights and all the things that have to happen. The pet has to go to the vet. My wife is TDY right now, and my dog decided to get in a fight with a groundhog the other day. And it's like, oh, I guess we're going to the vet. And then he lets the groundhog go, and the thing comes after me. And I'm like, I guess we're going to the hospital. And I'm like, only when they're gone, right?
It's 100% that's the moment the spout is even out of the States, let alone out of the country, something's going to happen.
Yep. She left one time, and everyone has a story like this who's been in the military, but she left one time and she wasn't out the door 6 hours before the dog started throwing up. And we ended up going to the vet that night, and the guy goes, we're going to have to do surgery. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? Okay, enough of my stories. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I got a quick one. My apologies if you touched on it already, Iris. I know you talked about hiring fairs, but I attended the Salesforce specific one last week and I loved it. So I guess my question is, are you planning on holding those on a regular basis?
Well, that one was a proof of concept. We did that one especially for as the program changed, and it just felt unfair for the people who'd gone through. We were trying to do something for those that talent pool. We hope that it becomes successful and that there's going to be a lot more interest from that. But again, as you know, it usually depends on the numbers and the success rate of that. Definitely. And how many employers we can get involved. But I assure you that we are exploring as many avenues as we can, and keep on communicating with us. Like, just because you may not be eligible for the program now, I like to think that the resources that I have, the knowledge I have, that it doesn't go away. You still have access to me. You can still ask me questions and things like that. Whatever I find out, I will be sharing with you. And Salesforce is also putting on some extraordinary career help as well, like their career coach and their talent alliance. I know a couple of people have said that they weren't successful there, but try again. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a one and done thing. You're never going to really succeed in that first opportunity. I wish it was, but it took me a really long time to relaunch my career, and I wouldn't be here if I'd have just been like, oh, I can't start my career. I've been at home for too long. I guess I'm supposed to stay at home and not do anything forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Great. Thanks, Iris.
I'm here to help. Here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to keep trying. And there's plenty of stories right now, I know, from hiring our heroes and within the Salesforce ecosystem of people who have restarted the career after many years, right, of, you know, following a service member around or taking that pause to raise kids, and it is working. And so there's definitely people to network with out there. So we are at the top of the hour. Before we close, I'd like to thank Iris for co-hosting tonight's session. Always a pleasure to see Iris, and the fact that I get to co-host with her is awesome. Awesome having you here and getting your perspective on all the topics we've discussed. Again, I just can't say enough thank you for all you have done for the ecosystem. You truly are a gem here.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for giving us the platform to share. Tell service members, tell spouses, tell veterans about our programs who don't know us. Like, I did not know about Hiring Our Heroes, and I live in the NCR. Do you know what I mean? And there was a plethora of information. I just had my head in my family and doing what I needed for my service member. I didn't know what was out there. So one thing I say is, please get the information out. Our resources are free. We're here to help. And the reason why employers are coming to this talent pool is because I don't think people realize that there's things that the military community has that can't be taught to other employees. Do you know what I mean? I see a lot of company programs that are trying to teach grit to their employees. You know what grit means: guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. You don't have to teach it here. Do you know what I mean? We're not boasting. We didn't go through this because we wanted to, but we have that grit in spades. There's unique challenges, diversity, adversity training, and experiences that service members and spouses go through really creates individuals that are really committed to seeing the mission or the project through to success. And companies want to hire that. We just have to get people career ready, and so that they can utilize those skills that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's Hiring Our Heroes and other like SkillBridge and things like that are getting that word out, maybe slowly, but getting it out there. So thank you for all that you do for that. Thank everyone for attending tonight. Hope you have hope to see you. I think we're in 2 weeks, I think. 7 June, I think is when I said we had. So thank you for attending tonight, and we'll see you then, and have a great Wednesday night.
Have a good one. Bye, guys. Thank
Good
you.
to see everybody. Have a good night.